30-second board time, hot topics in the sport. Haiden Deegan is always a hot topic, but this week, because of the points, JT, 70-some point lead over Levi Kitchen, so it's very, very likely he wraps up the Pro Motocross Championship this Saturday.
Yeah, it's looking good for Deegan, and really, if you look over the course of the season, he's been the best guy, but it's almost been the lack of poor motos. He's overcome so much adversity, so I think it's easy to point to him as the deserving champion for his good rides. But as Ricky Carmichael would say, you win championships on your bad days, and he simply has not had bad days.
Had to be a celebration for triumph. Now, Jalek Swoll goes 6'4" for third overall. That seems weird. Actually, we don't think it's that weird, and we also think that's huge for this brand.
Yeah, this was a feel-good moment all the way around. You look at the struggles that Triumph has had between Joey Savatgy and Jalek Swoll this summer. After a fantastic Monster Energy Supercross season, it just hasn't been an easy road this summer. So I think everybody, especially on their team, they've breathed a sigh of relief to see Jalek up there. But these are the celebrations you need to have. It's the first-year brand. And for them to be up on the podium against brands who have been in this game for a long time developing that 250 motorcycle, I think it's another testament to the effort that Triumph has put in around the world to immediately get to the front of this class.
Seeing red, man, what could have been a great day for Honda in the 250 class ends up being the worst day. Both their riders, Chance Hymas and Joe Shimoda, end up not finishing the day. We hear it's a broken collarbone for Shimoda. He's going to get it plated. Not sure when he'll be back. I think Hymas is good for this weekend, but man, this is such a horrible crash.
Yeah, to me, the most shocking part is you see Hymas' crash there, and he's the one that's relatively okay. And then Joe Shimoda has somewhat of a tip over. It's still a motorcycle crash, and you never want to downplay that, but it doesn't look like it was this crazy big crash that we're so used to seeing, and he's the one that leaves in a sling and is going to miss some time. So just the way motorcycle crashes are sometimes, they can be a little bit deceiving. But yes, for the 250 class for Honda HRC, it was a difficult afternoon.
Quick shout out though, early in the day, Hymas was going next level, and that leads us to our next topic. So he dominates qualifying, probably dominates at a higher level than anyone in the 250 class has done so far this year. He was dominating that first 250 moto. Now let's get to his podium interview after qualifying with you, JT. Listen to these words closely, everyone.
Yeah, feeling really good. First time here. I'm just trying to cook out there. That's all I'm trying to do. So yeah, feeling really good. 2-week break was good on me. So yeah, excited to go racing.
Okay, so now you heard what he said. He's just trying to cook. That's all he's trying to do. Let's look at Haiden Deegan's social media post. Sunday, it's the exact same words. This battle between these two has been brewing for a while.
Yeah, and you really can't say that either of them is innocent because they keep poking the bear, right? For Hymas to go up on the podium and use or reference things that Deegan had been saying is not diffusing anything. So for me as a fan and wanting to be entertained, this is awesome. I love every bit of it. But yes, it seems that both of them are leaning into this confrontation.
What do you think? I fortunately for Ken Roczen, JT, I think the standard's so high. I think there's a belief he could show up anywhere on podium or battle for the win, but that wasn't quite happening.
Yeah, for Roczen, I thought the second moto was indicative of what the expectation was. Speed, ability to run up front, but yeah, the fitness not quite there yet. The first moto, he just looked uncomfortable all the way around. So I'll kind of give him an incomplete, but a passing grade maybe on top of that. For Webb, again, I think it's the big picture play here. He's trying to get ready for Charlotte, and we'll have to see what the extent of that injury is now. It puts Charlotte in jeopardy, but he was trying to work back to get ready for these playoffs. It didn't matter what place he got at Unadilla. I don't think he even cared what the result was. It was a stepping stone to getting back to 100%.
My theory is if Cooper Webb had to do it over again, he wouldn't have done it at Unadilla. He would have come back like Tomac at Buds. That's just such a tough track, such a tough track to be coming back from that type of an injury. And he probably wishes he could have made that decision a little differently again. But hopefully we have him back and it's not too bad. Great is the review for the 2025 Honda. I was surprised that Honda pulled this off. We don't often see this. We have a few times, a new bike being homologated. They have to have production bikes on the showroom floor before they can race them. Hey, whatever they did, it worked, man. Great ride for Hunter Lawrence.
Yeah, and usually I don't like to take riders at their word so much because just have riders speak and you don't really get a lot of information. But when you hear a rider talk so glowingly about a new motorcycle, when they don't really have to. He could just say, yeah, we're going to race this bike and I wanted to kind of be ahead of the game. He didn't. At every turn, he talked about how much of a step forward this motorcycle was, and he backed that up in that first moto. So in this situation, I'm taking Hunter at his word. It seems like it is a big step forward. And if you're Jet Lawrence, you have to be sitting back going, man, when I do come back, I'm going to be in a very, very good situation on a brand new motorcycle. So I think the future looks great for Honda. I think they, as to Hunter Lawrence's words, they knocked it out of the park with this 2025, and it sets them up very nicely moving forward.
And maybe they'll even be a notch better now they got some data on the bike for this weekend at Buds. They're going to have to be, because Chase Sexton, we mentioned at the top of the show, really unlocked something. We've definitely seen him progress with the Red Bull KTM all year long. The last piece, the starts had still not been very good. The early laps had still not been very good, but he nailed those aspects in Moto2.
Yeah, and we don't really know, they held the gate for longer than normal for that second moto, and it threw a lot of riders off. There was flinching from some riders. So there was a lot to put together for that second moto. We'll see if he can back that up going into Budds Creek. But to me, the riding was the standout moment of the day. We have not seen speed like that from Chase Sexton in a very long time. The differential of what he was able to do against Ken Roczen on the first lap, that is an integral part of this, is that Ken Roczen is a sprinter. His best laps are early. Chase Sexton gapped him over 5 seconds on the first lap. That was a big, big moment in the story of where Chase Sexton will go from here.
This is 6:30 p.m. in the pits. This is like an hour and a half after the race. He's still there smiling, signing autographs. This is really genuine, what you get from AP and his enjoyment of the races.
Yeah, he's the people's champion. And I truly think, had I let him keep going on the podium, he would have spoken on the podium until 6:30 p.m. instead of been out here signing autographs. But, he wants to tell us everything that's going on. If I have to choose between riders telling us nothing or riders telling us too much, I'll take too much every time. And AP is just who he is, right? He doesn't hide behind anything. He's not scared to tell us what's on his mind. And I truly believe he's the best interview in sports, period. Above anyone else, I would put him at the front. And
hopefully for the first time, we'll see Eli Tomac racing in SMX playoffs and the World Championship event. Should be back this weekend at Budds Creek. But this is a cautionary tale now. We already mentioned that the return of Roczen and Webb was only mixed. So we don't know what level of Eli Tomac we're going to see this early.
Yeah, I would temper expectations. And maybe he comes out and makes me eat those words, but when I looked at when he started riding, typically how long it takes to get back to race shape, you think about what the asks are of pro motocross. And also remember, Budds Creek is one of the hottest, most humid events of the series. The track, I think, is a good setup, but everything else surrounding it is a very difficult challenge for Eli Tomac. So can he come back and be inside the top 10, press the top 5? Yes. But I think asking a podium, it's asking a lot. He's superhuman. We know that. It's Eli Tomac. He's surprised and impressed for years. But this one, I think, is going to be more about baby steps and getting back to form than it is going to be some sort of incredible performance.
Yeah, and let's not forget, he didn't even race Pro Motocross due to injury last year. So that's a long layoff. This motorcycle is totally different than the one he won the championship on in 2022. So this is a building process. He'll be ready for September, though. We know that. As for Budds, JT, this is one of your favorite tracks, or maybe your favorite track? Take us through it.
It was. To me, the dirt, this is some of the best dirt we have. And I know Red Bud and Spring Creek get so much limelight, but for me, this is the type of dirt I grew up on. Now, it is challenging. There's a lot of off-cameras that, much of the racetrack is built on the side of a hill. But I think it's one of the tracks that the riders really look forward to. Unadilla is challenging. I think everybody goes in and grits their teeth. Budds Creek, I think that those grit teeth would be opened up to a smile. It's a really fun racetrack, and practice is fun. The motos, there's enjoyment. Yes, it's serious, but it's one of those racetracks where everybody's like, all right, this is going to be a good weekend. I'm looking forward to racing my motorcycle, and I think you'll see that play out on Saturday.
Race Day Live coverage begins at 10 a.m. Eastern. That's our hour-long qualifying show brought to you by Motorsport.com. And the racing starts at 1 o'clock Eastern. We'll be live all day on Peacock or the SMX Video Pass outside the United States. And there'll be a re-air Sunday afternoon on USA Network. Maybe get some people checking out the superstars of SMX this weekend from Budds Creek. That's about a half hour outside of Washington, D.C. So if you're anywhere nearby, just come and check it out in person.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.